Okay, so normally I just let the images do the talking, but there's so many changes in this iteration that I figured it would be better just to do a voiceover first time ever. Um, Otherwise, I'd have to do massive amounts of cards on the screen, text, captions, I guess. As you can see, we have a very basic main menu, and as a note, all this is about showing functionality, not looks or form. Um, there was tons and tons of behind-the-scenes work that needed to be done, data structures that needed to be built, invisible systems, things of that nature. So this is more of a technical demo versus an actual finished product. So just keep that in mind. Out here, load game doesn't do anything yet. Quit does quit, but that's not very exciting to look at. Have a very basic credit screen. Um, but this is really the meat of it. We're going to start a new game. So from here, we're taken to a welcome screen. This is within the starbase view. So we'll just enter a name. And then the player has the ability to rename their ship, or they can just go to default, which I'm going to do. Then we have some startup tips, just general things to get the player rolling. Now you can see this is a starbase view, but it's mostly black. Ideally, we'll have some background, maybe three-dimensional, something that looks like a starbase. So the biggest thing that's probably been added since the last iteration would be the personnel tab, which has a lot going on. So in here, this is where the player builds their crew. As you can see, we have their base abilities and their base skills. So abilities are tied to the race, skills are influenced by the race, but they can increase them later, where the abilities are pretty much fixed, with some exceptions. Also in here we have some info help screens. Just tells you about the different abilities and what they do. Same thing for the skills. This one's scrollable because there's so many skills. All right. So let's build a character. So we'll just start with a human. Give him a name. All right. So one thing I wanted to do is add the ability for the player to assign perks, which will influence the character a little bit. It gives them a sense of being able to customize the character just a tad. So if you mouse over the perks, a pop-up shows you what this perk actually does. The green one is selected. Again, placeholder art. So you have leadership, you have jury rig. So we can select this one, and we'll say OK. And then we just get confirmation dialog. So we have a couple different races. Again, all placeholder art. As you can see, the stats and abilities change depending on what race is selected. So this interface works pretty well. We'll create another one so it'll look better on the roster screen, which is coming up next. Alright, take that. Doesn't really matter really. We're not going to go that far. Okay. So now we have two characters. We'll make a third real quick. Doesn't take long. Name for him. We'll just call him Smart Guy. Okay. So we've created 3 characters now. Ideally, the player will have to make 6, but you can see it's a pretty fast process. So now we're going to go over to the roster screen. So in here we can see the 3 guys that we've created. We can assign each one to a different position through this interface, like so. I'm not sure why this navigation is showing up down here. I'll have to investigate that. Kind of weird. So anyway, this is where you would assign your crew members, and each crew member can be viewed. So we have this same concept as before, just laid out in a different fashion. The difference here is the abilities and skills will also reflect at whatever perks you had chosen in the previous screen. So these are more calculated abilities and skills. After this, abilities won't really change unless we add more tiers of perks later. It's something I'm thinking about, and I haven't really decided on it yet. Another little bug there, text block. Didn't bring the rank over. It was a tiny error, but I'll fix it. The idea behind the rank, since I just mentioned it, is that if we do put like a leveling system in, this would go up, and then every level or every other level we could do another perk. Like I said, I'm not quite sure on that. I got to sit down kind of with a pad and pen and just figure out the design of this. But I do like the idea of perks. I think I'm going to keep that, especially since I've gone through the trouble of putting the systems in for it. And of course, you can already see there's little portraits. These are just cutouts of the bigger ones, all dynamic. All this is obviously dynamic. So let's say done. And it brings back the assign crew panel, and we can exit out of here. So we're all done in here. Training is not in yet. Training is something is my original idea of increasing the skills of the different characters, where you would click training and then select the skill, pay some money, and increase it. Again, this is something that's kind of fluid. I'm going to think about like how I want it to work with a leveling system, without a leveling system. Basically, I have to sit down and design that portion of the game. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to probably stay though. All right, we'll get out of here. All right, shipyard. I think I've showed this off before. It was in a more primitive state than last time. Change the color of the ship. This should populate out into the galaxy view. I haven't actually tested it, come to think of it, but hopefully it'll work. We'll see what happens. Here you have a filtering system similar to what's in the marketplace. We can just pick something here. The ship is defaulted with class 1 everything and 6 cargo pods. There's a little nicety. We have the ship name up here. Go down, we'll buy this. Gives you a dialogue, say it's okay, and you see it's updated to view. We have class 2 armor now. Do the same thing with a cannon. This, and class 3, and so forth. I forgot how much money I put in here, probably a ton for testing purposes. After that, you could go to the trade guild. This you've kind of seen before, so I'm not going to belabor it. It's nothing new here, kind of same filters. I'm not going to do any buying and selling. Looks like I have 100,000 mega credits left, or whatever monetary unit we end up using. So that's kind of everything. The longest part was this personnel screen, and then finally this lumps you back into the main view from exiting there. We would go to the docking ring. Could maybe do something cool here where we do a sequence where the ship launches or something. Right now we just have a dialogue to confirm the launch, and you say yes, and boom, you're out here in space. And look, it did move the green texture out onto the ship. Not bad, like that. And then from here, you could, of course, proceed with the game. So part of this is like basically trying to create that complete game loop. So, we can go into the system. Obviously, I have some problem here, so it's just a camera position. I think it'll probably still work for the most part. Yeah, the camera position's off, so it throws off everything else. I kind of knew that was going to happen, but just forgot about it for a moment. Pick a spot. So just go ahead and try and descend. See what happens. Yeah, since the camera position's off, you can't quite see the ship launching. You've seen it in the other video, so no big deal there. But now we're landing on a planet. So a few small glitches, but I'm pretty happy with this so far. Because this is, like I said, that road to getting that complete game loop where you can build your crew, your ship, launch it, go to a system, land on a planet. The next step will be finessing these things I've showed, and then really sit down and focus on how the characters are to exist in terms of perks and skills, and build basically a combat system. So we can spawn creatures out here, and they can fight them and get all that worked out. So that would be kind of the transition from this being a great big technology demo to a actual game. So it's step-by-step process, as you know, like moving a mountain a shovelful at a time. But there's a pretty big pile behind us now, and just keep going forward and keep chipping away at it. So if you got this far, thanks for watching, and I'll get you on the next iteration. Take it easy.